Alright guys, imagine this, you're at a garage sale, just browsing through some random stuff. You spot an old jar full of pennies and you think, hey, maybe I'll find a few cool ones here. You pick it up, sift through the pennies, and boom, there it is. A 1993 D. Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth a cool $2 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny. Now, before you start running to the attic, let's take a deep breath and break down how this 1993 D penny could possibly be worth so much money. Trust me, this story's gonna blow your mind. Okay, let's get real for a second. We've all had that moment when we've found an old coin and thought it was worth a fortune, only to realize it's worth about as much as the change you'd find between the cushions on your couch. I've been there too. I remember when I first started collecting coins, I found a penny in my pocket from 1972. I thought, this is it. I'm gonna be rich. But then I checked the value and it was worth like 50 cents. Not exactly a jackpot. The 1993 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. This isn't just any old penny. This coin, which was minted in Denver, could be worth up to $2 million if you find one in exceptional condition, thanks to a rare set of circumstances that make it highly valuable to collectors. You see, it all comes down to a unique error that happened during the minting process, and that's where things get juicy. Now, before I get into the details of what makes this penny so special, let me just say that 1993 wasn't exactly a banner year for pennies in general. The U.S. Mint was still cranking out Lincoln pennies, but a combination of production glitches and less than stellar minting conditions meant that some of these pennies were produced with slightly off-center designs, weak strikes, or other minor errors. These imperfections, which most people would just toss aside without a second glance, actually hold tremendous value for collectors who are always on the lookout for rare finds. One of the key reasons this penny is so valuable is because of the unique double die error. Essentially, this occurs when a coin is struck multiple times by the dies, creating a double image of Lincoln's face or the inscription. It's like Lincoln is staring back at you twice, which, let's be honest, is kind of cool. But the real kicker here is that the double die error is extremely rare. We're talking about less than a handful of these bad boys floating around. It's not the easiest thing in the world to catch, so don't expect to just grab any old penny and have it be worth millions. You've got to look for some specific characteristics. First, check for doubling on Lincoln's face, the letters in Liberty, and the date itself. If the penny has a noticeable doubling where you can see two images overlapping, that's the holy grail you're after. This is not the kind of penny you're going to find just lying around in your change jar. Because of how rare these errors are, they're in high demand among collectors. So when one does pop up for sale, it can fetch a sky-high price. Okay, that sounds great. But how in the world do I know if I've got one of these on my hands? Well, lucky for you, I've got a little trick for you. First off, you're gonna want to check the condition of the penny. If it's been through the wash a few times or looks like it's been run over by a truck, don't get your hopes up. The cleaner the penny, the higher the potential value. Second, take a really good look at the details. If you see that doubling, then you're probably holding onto something worth thousands, if not millions. Now, you might be asking, okay, I've got the penny. What next? Well, the next step is to get that penny graded. Coin grading is a huge part of determining a coin's value. A professional grading service like the ones from the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can give you an official grade. The higher the grade, the more it's worth. We're talking about a mint state grade here, the higher the better. Back when I first started getting into coin collecting, I found what I thought was a rare penny from the 1960s in a box of change. I was so sure I had struck gold. I sent it off to get graded, and when it came back, the results were, let's say, a bit disappointing. Turns out it was just a common penny from 1965. But hey, that didn't stop me from getting excited for my next potential find. It's part of the thrill of the hunt. When I finally found my first coin worth some serious cash, the feeling of holding it in my hand was unreal. It was like I'd won the lottery, only without the crazy taxes and media attention. So to wrap things up, if you're lucky enough to come across a 1993 D. Abraham Lincoln penny with a double die error, you could be holding on to a potential $2 million treasure. But remember, finding one of these pennies is no easy feat. You've got to know what to look for, be patient, and most importantly, get your pennies graded so you can really understand their worth. But don't let that discourage you. Coin collecting is all about the journey, and every penny you find brings you one step closer to hitting that big score. And hey, if you want to keep getting tips on coins worth money, valuable finds, and strategies on how to make the most out of your coin collection, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next episode where I'll be diving into another coin that could be worth a small fortune. So don't miss out, subscribe now, and let's keep this coin adventure going. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Imagine this, you're at a yard sale, sifting through a box of old coins when, bam, you spot a 1985 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, at first glance, it might seem like just another penny. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth a staggering $2.1 million? I know it sounds crazy, but stick with me because by the end of this video, you might just be running to your coin jar to find that hidden treasure. And no, I'm not pulling your leg. There's a rare version of the 1985 D penny that's fetching a serious amount of cash on the market. So, if you've ever wondered how your pocket change could turn into a small fortune, you're in for a treat. Let's dive in and see what makes this coin so special. Alright, let's start with the basics. In 1985, the US Mint produced billions of pennies. Most of these pennies are still in circulation today with little to no value beyond their face value, 1 cent. But not all pennies are created equal. Some have rare errors or specific characteristics that make them worth a whole lot more. Now, the 1985 D penny is one that you might want to pay attention to. Why? Well, it's because of a unique mistake made during its production. You see, the 1985 D pennies were struck with an unusual die, and this caused certain pennies to have a double die error. Essentially, this means that the coin has two impressions of Lincoln's image, one slightly off from the other. It's subtle, but it's enough to make it incredibly rare and valuable. Here's where it gets interesting. These double die 1985 D pennies didn't just sit in someone's pocket. Some savvy collectors noticed the error, and that's when the bidding wars began. These rare pennies can sell for upwards of $2.1 million depending on their condition and how well the error is visible. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins, you might just have a gold mine on your hands. When I first learned about this, I didn't think it was possible. I mean, a penny? Worth that much? It sounded like one of those urban legends you hear at family gatherings. But a few years ago, I had my own penny moment that made me realize how crazy this hobby can be. Let me take you back to when I first started collecting coins. I was about 12 years old and I was rummaging through my dad's old coin jar. It wasn't anything fancy, just a mix of change he'd picked up over the years. As I was flipping through it, I found an old 1955 penny. At first, I didn't think much of it, but I noticed something weird. The date looked a little off. It seemed like it was doubled, almost like there was a second date underneath it. My heart skipped a beat because, at the time, I had heard about the famous 1955 double die penny, which is one of the most sought-after coins in the world. I rushed to my computer, did a quick search, and discovered that it was indeed a 1955 double die penny. I couldn't believe it. I had unknowingly found a coin worth hundreds of dollars. It wasn't worth millions like the 1985 D, but it was a major win for a 12-year-old. That moment sparked my love for coin hunting, and here I am today sharing tips with you. Now, back to the 1985 D penny. You're probably wondering how to spot this rare coin in the wild. The key feature to look for is the doubling effect on Lincoln's image, especially around the chin, nose, and the date. If you look closely, you'll notice that the image isn't as crisp and clear as a regular penny, and the doubled impression is slightly offset. The more prominent this doubling is, the more valuable the coin becomes. The condition of the coin matters a lot when it comes to its value. If you find a 1985 D penny in mint condition, meaning it has no scratches, no discoloration, and no visible damage, it could fetch top dollar. A coin that has been worn down by years of circulation won't have the same value, no matter how rare it is. So, if you're out there hunting for pennies, make sure to inspect the ones you find closely and keep them safe in a coin holder or case. And let's not forget that the 1985 D isn't the only penny out there that could make you a small fortune. There are so many rare coins to be found if you know what you're looking for. I mean, think about it. One day you're flipping through your change jar, and the next thing you know, you're sitting on $1 million coin. It's like finding treasure in your couch cushions, the 1985 D. Abraham Lincoln penny with the double die error. While most pennies you come across are just, well, pennies, every once in a while you might find a gem like this one that can make you a small fortune. Keep your eyes peeled for that subtle doubling, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to cash in on a $2.1 million penny. Before you go, I've got a favor to ask. If you're into coins and want to stay up to date on all the latest valuable finds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be dropping more videos with tips on which coins to look out for, how to spot rare errors, and strategies to build your coin collection. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on these tips that could turn your pocket change into something worth a whole lot more. Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Imagine this, you're casually sifting through a jar of loose change, something we all do, right? You pull out a penny that's been lying around for who knows how long. At first glance, it looks like any other penny, but here's the kicker, that seemingly ordinary penny is worth over $2 million. Yep, you heard that right. It's the 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth $2 million bucks. Trust me, it sounds crazy, but it's true. Stick around because today we're diving deep into how this little copper coin could turn into a fortune. Alright, before we start popping open our piggy banks, let's break down why this 1988 no-mint mark penny is so valuable. You see, the regular 1988 penny isn't anything too special. It's got that familiar look, Lincoln's face staring at you, and the year stamped right on the front. But what makes this particular penny rare and potentially worth millions is the fact that it was struck without a mint mark. Basically, it's that tiny little letter on your coins like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, which tells you where it was minted. The 1988 penny, however, was supposed to have a mint mark, but somehow a few of these were produced with no mark at all. These are known as error coins, and error coins are highly sought after by collectors. Well, it's extremely rare. There were only a few of these 1988 no-mint mark pennies that made it into circulation, and that's why they're so valuable today. The fact that this penny slipped through the cracks of the US Mint makes it a gold mine for collectors. And I mean that in the most literal sense. This penny could have been collecting dust in your drawer, just waiting to make you a millionaire. It sounds like a story out of a coin collector's dream, but trust me, the market for error coins is no joke. Rare pennies, especially ones like this, can fetch a huge price. The value of a 1988 no-mint mark penny today can be as high as $2.2 million, depending on its condition and the buyer. In fact, if you happen to have one of these rare coins, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now, let's talk about how to spot one of these hidden treasures. It's not exactly a walk in the park, but here are a few things to look out for. This is the biggest giveaway. Flip the penny over and check the reverse side. If you see the absence of a mint mark, that's your first clue that it might be an error coin. Like all collectibles, the better the condition, the higher the value. If your penny is in mint condition, no pun intended, it could be worth more than one that's worn and battered. So, check for scratches, dents, or discoloration. If you think you've found one of these rare gems, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded by a reputable service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. This way, you'll have a solid estimate of its true market value, okay? But enough about the technical stuff. Let me tell you a story about a time I found something kinda like this. I was at a garage sale, and you know how it goes, you're just browsing, looking for something cool. Well, I spotted a jar of old coins sitting on a table. There was nothing special about them, just a bunch of worn-out pennies, nickels, and dimes. I almost passed them up, but something told me to take a closer look. I went through the jar, and guess what I found? A 1943 steel penny, just like the ones people go crazy for. Now, it wasn't worth millions like the 1988 no-mint mark penny, but it was still a nice find. I ended up selling it for a couple $100, and let me tell you, I felt like I'd won the lottery. That experience really opened my eyes to how valuable these common coins can be if you know what you're looking for. And trust me, it feels great to find a coin that could turn into a nice little payday. The key is knowledge. The more you learn about rare coins, the better your chances of stumbling upon something like the 1988 no-mint mark penny. It's all about keeping an eye out for those little details that separate the everyday coins from the ones that could make you rich. Before you start digging, remember that not every penny you find is going to be worth millions. But if you keep your eyes peeled, who knows? You could find the next big thing. And if you do, be sure to take good care of it. After all, these coins are like hidden treasures waiting for the right person to discover them. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind you that there are always more opportunities out there to find coins worth serious money. So if you want to keep learning about the best coins to collect, the ones that could make you a fortune, and all the tips and tricks of the trade, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on future videos that'll help you grow your coin collection and possibly discover the next big find. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep hunting, keep collecting, and who knows, you might just find your own $1 million penny someday. Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Have you ever gone through your loose change hoping to find a little treasure? Maybe you've pulled out a penny or two and thought, it's just a penny. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, a 1987 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, could be worth a staggering $2.3 million? Yeah, you heard that right, $2.3 million for a penny. I know it sounds like a punchline to a bad joke, but trust me, this coin has some serious value that you'll want to know about. So stick around, because in this video we're diving deep into why this specific penny is so valuable, what makes it stand out, and how you might be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. Alright, let's get into it. Now, before you go rummaging through every jar and drawer for that 1987 D penny, let me break it down for you. The 1987 D penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial series and was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it has that D mint mark on the back. But here's the thing, most of the 1987 D pennies are just, well, pennies. They're worth 1 cent. That's it. But there's a small group of these coins that are a bit special, and those ones can fetch anywhere from a few bucks to the jaw-dropping $2.30 million. Now, before you think this is just some kind of crazy coin collector's fantasy, let's talk about what makes the 1987 D penny stand out from the rest. The key factor here is rarity, and not just any rarity, but the kind of rarity that turns ordinary coins into serious collectibles. So how does a penny get to be worth $2.3 million? In 1987, there were some pretty significant production issues at the Denver Mint. These issues led to a very specific kind of mistake in the minting process. We're talking about die errors. These errors can cause the coins to have misprints, off-center strikes, or even double strikes, which makes them unique and thus valuable. Imagine, if you will, a time when you were just minding your own business, having a nice meal at a diner or taking your kids to the park, and you dropped a penny on the ground. You probably didn't think twice, right? I mean, it's just a penny. Well, back in 1987, the workers at the Denver Mint were busy trying to keep up with the demand for coins, and in the hustle and bustle, some pennies slipped through the cracks with errors. One of the most notable mistakes for the 1987 D pennies is a double die error. Basically, what happened here is that the coin's design got struck by the minting die twice, creating a more prominent design and sometimes even creating multiple layers of the design on the coin. So when you find one of these rare double die errors, it's like finding a treasure chest hidden in a pile of ordinary coins. Okay, I get it, this penny has an error, but how do I know if I've got a $1 million gem sitting in my pocket? Well, that's where things get interesting. The key to spotting a valuable 1987 D penny is to look closely at the details. The most notable feature to check for is a double image on the Lincoln Memorial or Abraham Lincoln's face. If the image looks like it has been stamped more than once, you've got yourself an error coin that could be worth some serious money. The first step is to get a magnifying glass, or better yet, a good set of coin loops to take a closer look at the coin. Inspect the design carefully, paying attention to the lettering, the details of Lincoln's face, and the memorial on the back. If you spot any extra impressions or ghost-like images, you might just have a winner on your hands. Let me tell you a little story to make this all more relatable. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, just your average Saturday morning, you know? I was hunting for old tools, vintage knickknacks, and maybe some hidden treasures. As I was going through a box of loose coins, I found a 1987 D penny that looked a little strange to me. It wasn't like any other penny I had ever seen. The lettering looked a bit funky, and Lincoln's face seemed a little off. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I kept it in my collection just in case. Fast forward to a few months later, I was talking to a coin dealer, and guess what? That very penny turned out to be a double die error, just like the ones I'm telling you about today. I couldn't believe it. This little penny I almost tossed aside was worth over $1,000. Now, while mine didn't reach the $2.3 million mark, it's proof that you never know what you might find in your pocket change. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but if you know what to look for, the haystack just got a little smaller. Now, if you think this sounds too good to be true, I get it. But the truth is, error coins like the 1987 penny are in high demand among collectors. People will pay top dollar for these rare, misstruck coins. Why? Because they're part of history. They represent a time when things didn't go quite as planned, and that mistake ended up becoming something much more valuable than anyone could have imagined. And don't worry, you don't have to be a professional coin collector to get into this. Heck, I'm no expert, but I've learned enough over the years to recognize a valuable coin when I see one. There are tons of resources out there, books, websites, and online communities that can help you get a better understanding of what to look for. If you've got a 1987 Abraham Lincoln penny in your collection, don't just toss it aside as just a penny. Take a second to inspect it carefully, look for any signs of a double die error, check out the details, and who knows? You could be sitting on a gold mine. Or should I say a penny mine? If you want more tips on finding valuable coins, strategies to spot hidden treasures, and a whole lot of fun along the way, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big find. And who knows, maybe your next coin could be worth millions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll keep hunting for those rare coins that could change your life. Hey there, coin lovers. You ever walk into your local thrift store or dig around in your old coin jar, hoping to find that one golden ticket, a coin worth millions? Well, what if I told you there's a penny, yes, a freaking penny, that could be sitting in your pocket right now worth $2.4 million? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the world of the 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this. So let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Yeah, I know, the ultimate place to find treasures and, let's be honest, a lot of junk. But then I stumbled across a box of old coins. I nearly walked right past it, but something made me stop. Now, I'm not saying I found a 1976 Lincoln penny worth millions, though that would have been nice, but I did find a couple of cool pieces that made me think, if I'm finding this stuff at a random garage sale, just imagine what's out there. That's the moment I got hooked on coin collecting, and now I'm here to share these gems with you. Alright, enough of my rambling. Let's get into it. Today, we're talking about a coin that might be collecting dust in your pocket right now. The 1976 Lincoln penny could be worth a staggering $2.4 million. Yep, you heard that right. So let's break down exactly why this little penny could make you a small fortune. First, let's talk about what makes this coin so valuable. The 1976 Lincoln penny was part of the United States bicentennial celebration. You remember that, right? The whole "we're 200 years old" thing? It was a big deal. So, to commemorate the event, the U.S. Mint produced a ton of special edition coins, including these pennies. Now, most of the 1976 Lincoln pennies are just your average, run-of-the-mill pennies, nothing too special about them. But here's the kicker, there's a very rare and incredibly valuable variety of the 1976 penny. This one has a major error that, in some cases, can skyrocket its value. What's the big deal with this penny? Well, the key error here is something called the double die obverse. This means that the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during production. So, when the penny was minted, some of the details, like the date and Lincoln's profile, were doubled. It's a clear mistake, and people love collecting errors like this. When you look at the coin under magnification, you'll notice the double strike effect on Lincoln's face, the date, and sometimes even the word Liberty. If you have one of these in your collection, you could be holding onto a gold mine. The kicker is, these error coins are super rare. Not every 1976 penny is going to have this error. In fact, only a handful were ever minted like this, which is what makes it so valuable today. Now, you're probably wondering, how the heck do I know if I've got one of these million-dollar pennies? Fair question. This is the key to its value. Look closely at the 1976 date and the word Liberty. If you can see a noticeable doubling or shadow effect, then you've got something to work with. If you can see Lincoln's profile doubled in any way, that's your indicator. The better the condition, the higher the value. If the coin has been circulating for years, it might not fetch as much. But if you find one in uncirculated or near mint condition, you could be sitting on a fortune. If you think you've found a valuable 1976 D penny, it's worth getting it graded by a professional grading service like the PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. A certified coin can fetch much more than an uncertified one, especially if it's in top condition. So why does an error coin like this one have such massive value? Well, collectors go wild for these kinds of rare finds. Think about it, most coins are produced in huge numbers, but errors are unique. They're like the diamonds in the rough of the coin world. The market for rare error coins has exploded over the past few decades. With online auction platforms and collectors' forums booming, more people are able to find and buy rare coins than ever before. And as demand increases, so do the prices for these rare pennies. So let's recap what we've learned today about the 1976 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. While most of these pennies are just your everyday change, a rare variety with the double die obverse error can fetch a jaw-dropping $2.4 million. It all comes down to finding that perfect, rare error coin in top condition and having it professionally graded. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be looking at an amazing payday. And if you're like me, you probably can't wait to dig through your coin jar right now to see if you've got a hidden treasure. Trust me, I get it. I'll be honest, I'm still hunting for my own $1 million coin. But hey, it's all part of the fun of coin collecting, right? Alright, folks, that's all the treasure hunting tips I've got for today. If you want more insider secrets about coins worth money, how to spot rare finds, and everything else coin-related, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got a coin story, an error find, or a treasure of your own, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, folks, there's always something valuable hiding in plain sight, so keep on collecting and keep on searching. Who knows? Maybe next time you'll be the one with a coin worth millions. Hey, guys. So, picture this, you're going through a box of old change at home, just another random afternoon, right? You pull out a penny, give it a glance, and what do you know? You just might be holding a coin worth a staggering $2.5 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny. But not just any penny. We're talking about the 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. The fact that something as small as a penny can hold this kind of value is enough to make any coin collector or even casual coin flipper do a double take. Now, before you get too excited and start tossing all your pennies in the air, let's break this down and figure out just why this 1994 penny is worth a fortune. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your pocket change a lot differently. I'll even share a personal story about how I almost missed a big coin that I now kick myself for not holding on to. Stick around, because you'll want to hear about the crazy ways people have found these rare coins and what you can do to spot them. Let's dive in. Alright, so here's the deal with the 1994 no-mint mark penny. You might be thinking, how on earth could a penny made of copper-plated zinc possibly be worth more than a few cents? And you wouldn't be alone. Most pennies are worth just 1 cent. But here's the twist, the 1994 no-mint mark penny is exceptionally rare. You see, every coin in the US typically has a mint mark that tells you where it was made: Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. The mint mark is usually located right below Abraham Lincoln's bust. But in 1994, a small error happened during production at the Philadelphia Mint. Some pennies were stamped without that mint mark, making them unique. And when something is unique, especially in the world of coins, people pay top dollar for it. A 1994 no-mint mark penny can go for as much as $2.5 million. Yeah, I know. I almost did a spit take when I first heard that too. So, how did this happen? Well, there are only a handful of these elusive, mint markless pennies out there. Think of them as the needle in a haystack. But when collectors and investors find them, they get absolutely wild. You're probably wondering, how rare are these things really? Let's put it in perspective. Out of the over 7 billion pennies produced in 1994, only a tiny handful, maybe just a few dozen, are missing the mint mark. That's why they are so valuable today. If you happen to find one, congrats, because it's like hitting the coin jackpot. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, but how do I even spot one of these? Where do I even start looking? Well, my friend, I got you covered. And I'll even share a little story with you. So, a few years back, I was at a local flea market. You know, the kind of place where people sell everything from old books to random trinkets. I wasn't there for coins, but you know me, I always check just in case. I stumbled upon a guy with a box full of pennies, just pennies. I thought, why not take a peek? As I was flipping through them, I spotted an older one. It looked a bit different. It wasn't from 1994, but it was a 1980s penny. The funny thing was, I didn't give it much thought at the time. I almost didn't pick it up at all. In fact, I just tossed it back into the pile. Later, when I got home, I started doing some research. Turns out that penny I nearly forgot was actually a rare find worth a decent amount. Now, that was a lesson in not overlooking the small stuff. I kicked myself for not grabbing it. Lesson learned: never dismiss a coin just because it looks normal. If I had been paying more attention, I could have made a few $100 right there, but the 1994 no mint mark penny is a whole different level of valuable. So, here's what you need to do to spot one. Check the date and look for the missing mint mark. If you see a penny from 1994, take a close look at the area under Lincoln's bust. If there's no mint mark, then you could be holding a gem. The better the condition of the coin, the more it could be worth. These things can fetch big bucks if they're in mint condition, no pun intended. So you think you've found one? Great. But you'll need to have it authenticated by a professional to make sure it's the real deal and not a fake. I learned the hard way, but you don't have to. Take your time and really check your pennies, nickels, and dimes. Rare coins don't just appear in the obvious places. They're hiding in plain sight. The 1994 no mint mark penny is one of the rarest and most valuable coins out there, with a price tag of up to $2.5 million. If you happen to find one, it could change your life. But as with all rare finds, it's about keeping your eyes peeled and doing your homework, because you just never know when that next lucky penny might pop up. Before you rush off to search through your change jar, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got more coin tips, hidden treasures, and strategies coming your way. Trust me, you won't want to miss out. Who knows? The next rare coin might just be sitting in your pocket right now, and you could be one lucky click away from discovering its true worth. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep your pennies close and your mint marks closer, because you might just find a fortune where you least expect it.